Welcome back to Edzy, a personal AI tutor. I am Gaurav, and you are listening to a revision episode on Class 8 English for CBSE Class 8, A Tale of Valor, Major Somnath Sharma and the Battle of Badgam. Swati is with me. This is a calm, comforting study session, so there is no need to rush. Keep a notebook nearby if you have one, but you can also listen passively while traveling or relaxing. We will understand the chapter, ask questions, revise vocabulary and grammar, and collect exam tips. A common question is why Baghdam was important. By the end, we will solve exactly that kind of doubt calmly.
Hello, everyone. I am Swati, and I will keep checking whether the ideas are actually clear, not merely familiar. As we move through the story, I will ask you to predict events, arrange them in order, explain words, and frame answers. Do not worry if you cannot answer immediately. Simply give yourself a quiet moment to recall before listening further.
Let us begin with the central question. What can a small group do when it is surrounded by a much larger force? This chapter does not present courage as a feeling that removes fear. It presents courage as the decision to continue doing one's duty even when the danger is clear and personal safety is at risk.
Before we enter the events, think of the qualities expected from a soldier. The chapter's activities invite you to consider courage, discipline, dedication, loyalty, and a sense of duty. Which one seems most important during a crisis? Your answer may be courage, but the story shows that courage works together with leadership, judgment, and commitment to one's team.
The title itself gives us a reading map. A tale means a story, valor means courage, and the names Major Somnath Sharma and the Battle of Badgam tell us that both a person and a historical event will be central. So, while reading, track three things: the background of the battle, Major Sharma's actions, and the lasting meaning of his sacrifice.
The opening tribute describes Major Sharma's name as etched in the annals of history. Etched means permanently fixed in someone's memory, while a beacon is a source of inspiration. These are not decorative words only. They tell us that the chapter is presenting his life as a continuing example for later generations.
Now, let us understand the historical background given in the chapter. The events leading to the Battle of Badgam began in August 1947 after Pakistan launched Operation Gulmarg with the intention of annexing the Kashmir Valley. To annex means to take possession of a territory. The plan threatened the newly independent Indian state.
The chapter says this action violated an existing agreement with Hari Singh, the Maharaja of Jammu and Kashmir, under which Pakistan had committed not to attack the state. Instead, the Pakistani army trained and equipped around 1,000 invaders. They knew the mountain passes and local terrain, which made the planned invasion more dangerous.
Their aim was not limited to entering one village. They wanted to capture strategic locations, including the Srinagar airport, engineer a revolt in Kashmir, overthrow the government, and control the territory. Success would also have given them control of important mountain passes, peaks, and rivers. This explains why the airport and nearby areas mattered so much.
Why would an airport become important in a battle? The chapter explains that supplies and troops were arriving by air. If the airfield and its approaches were captured, defending Srinagar and supporting the troops would become extremely difficult. So, Badgam was strategically important because it was higher than the airfield and access passed through the village.
Operation Gulmarg was launched on 22nd October 1947, and the infiltrators invaded Kashmir. The chapter connects this invasion with the princely state becoming a part of India on 26 October 1947. In response, the government of India sent troops on 27th October to defend the people of Kashmir and India's borders.
These dates are commonly tested because they establish sequence. Do not mix up 22nd October, when Operation Gulmarg was launched, with 26th October, when the princely state became part of India, or 27th October, when Indian troops were sent in response. In a chronology answer, dates are useful anchors, but the action connected with each date is equally important.
The land route through Pathankot was not in good condition. So a contingent of troops posted to Jammu and Kashmir was airlifted into Srinagar. A contingent means a group of people, especially soldiers, sent for a particular purpose. This word later becomes important in the language section as a collective noun connected with armed forces.
On 31st October, D Company of the 4th Battalion of the Kumaon Regiment, commanded by Major Somnath Sharma, was flown into Srinagar. Notice a striking detail. Major Sharma's left hand was in plaster, yet he insisted on joining his company in combat. This immediately introduces his commitment to his men, not just his personal bravery.
When senior officers questioned the difficulty of the mission, Major Sharma explained that he knew his men better than anyone else and that if they were going into action, they would not go without him. This statement reveals leadership through presence. He did not ask his soldiers to face a danger from which he himself stayed away.
Would you describe that decision as courage, responsibility, or both? I would say both. Courage explains his willingness to enter danger despite the plaster on his hand. Responsibility explains why he considered staying with his company necessary. A strong answer should not simply call him brave, it should connect his decision with loyalty towards his men and duty towards the country.
Before the troops arrived in Srinagar, there were rumors of tribal movement towards Badgam. The rumors were unfounded, meaning they were not based on reason or facts. But the actual situation was more serious than the rumors suggested. The enemy had already started arriving in small groups, trying to avoid detection.
The valley is described as eerily silent. Eerily means in a strange, frightening, and mysterious way. This description creates tension because silence does not mean safety. In fact, the hidden movement of the enemy makes the silence deceptive. That is a useful literary observation. The calm surface contrasts with the danger developing underneath.
On 3rd November 1947, several companies were sent to patrol and assess emerging threats in and around Badgam. During the day, the valley remained eerily silent. In the afternoon, companies were ordered to return one by one. D Company, with its 90 soldiers, was the last company and was expected to return by 2 p.m.
Here is a prediction check. Why might the last company have become vulnerable? Because once the other companies had returned, only a small group remained behind. The enemy noticed this opportunity and attacked. The chapter therefore builds the battle through timing, location, and numbers. These details help us understand the danger rather than memorize isolated facts.
The enemy consisted of tribal guerrilla invaders under the command of the Pakistani army. They wanted to capture the Srinagar airfield and surrounding areas. The first attack met stiff resistance from Major Sharma and his men. But Major Sharma correctly visualized that the first attack was only a distraction.
That detail is important for understanding his judgment. He did not react only to the attack in front of him. He examined what it might be hiding. Soon, a major attack came from another side. The 90 soldiers were now facing approximately 500 invaders. The word outnumbered means that the opposing force was greater in number.
The numerical difference was almost 7 to 1. However, the chapter does not reduce the battle to numbers. It shows how strategy, discipline, courage, and time affected the result. Major Sharma understood that defending Srinagar town, the airfield, and the wider valley would be difficult until reinforcements arrived.
So, what did he do after assessing the situation? He requested airstrikes. He also laid out ground panels to guide the aircraft towards the enemy's target. This is a strong example of practical leadership. He did not merely give encouraging speeches, he observed the situation, requested support, and helped make that support effective.
The aerial attack successfully hit the tribal invaders, but the attack on D Company's positions continued. This prevents us from making an incorrect conclusion. Airstrikes helped the soldiers, but they did not instantly end the battle. The enemy still had overwhelming numerical superiority, and Major Sharma's company continued to face devastating fire.
The expression stood resolute means stood firm and determined. The soldiers were facing gunfire, battle cries, casualties, and a much larger force. Yet, Their position did not immediately collapse. The chapter uses this moment to show tenacity, which means determination, and valor, which means courage. Keep both words ready for vocabulary questions.
Major Sharma's voice cut through the chaos and urged his men to fight with tenacity and valor. This phrase tells us that he became a source of steadiness during confusion. His leadership was visible in the way he communicated, encouraged the soldiers, and helped them remain focused on defending their position.
He was also injured, yet he moved fearlessly through the battlefield. He directed fire, filled magazines for the gunners, and encouraged his men to hold their ground. Notice the verbs here: moved, directing, filling, and encouraging. They present leadership as active service. He was not distant from the work or the danger faced by his soldiers.
Let us answer an extract style question. What can we infer from the line? The air was thick with gunfire and the cries of battle. The correct inference is that there was intense fighting on the battlefield. It does not mean the gunshots had stopped, that the invaders were retreating, or that the Indian soldiers had already achieved victory.
Now complete this sentence mentally. Despite heavy casualties, Major Sharma continued to lead his men because he was committed to his duty, wanted to motivate them, and believed that holding the position was necessary until reinforcements arrived. More than one idea may be relevant, but the reason must be connected with the extract.
There is also an assertion and reason question in the chapter. The assertion says that Major Sharma moved fearlessly through the battlefield even though he was injured. The reason says that he believed his courage was important to motivate his soldiers. Both statements are supported by the extract, and the reason explains the leadership shown in the assertion.
A common mistake is to treat every brave action as an act of personal glory. In this chapter, Major Sharma's actions are connected with the safety of Srinagar, the protection of the airfield, the arrival of reinforcements, and the morale of his men. That connection makes the answer analytical rather than merely descriptive.
As the battle continued, D Company began running out of ammunition. Ammunition means a supply of bullets, shells, and explosives. Major Sharma informed brigade headquarters about the shortage and was asked to pull back. He understood the gravity of the situation, meaning the seriousness and danger of what was happening.
His response is the emotional center of the chapter. He stated that the enemy was only 50 yards away, that his men were heavily outnumbered, and that they were under devastating fire. Then he declared that he would not withdraw but would fight to the last man and the last round. The words express extraordinary resolve.
Let us clarify the meaning of that declaration. It does not simply mean that Major Sharma was unaware of danger. In fact, he clearly described the danger. The phrase shows that he placed the defense of the position and the safety of the wider area above his own chance of retreat.
A few minutes later, he was crouched in a trench beside a machine gun operator, helping him load the gun. His position was struck by a mortar shell, and he was killed instantly, crouched sitting with the knees bent. The detail makes the scene powerful because he was helping with a practical task when the fatal attack occurred.
The story does not end with Major Sharma's death. His men, despite losing their commander and facing overwhelming numerical superiority, held their position for more than 6 additional hours before being overrun. Their resistance created time for reinforcements to arrive, including soldiers from the Punjab regiment who were flown into Srinagar.
This is where leadership becomes a continuing influence. Major Sharma could not personally command after his death, but his example motivated the soldiers to continue. The chapter presents courage as something that can spread through a group. His sacrifice strengthened the resolve of the men who survived him.
The brave resistance caused more than 300 casualties among the enemy, including injury to their leader, according to the chapter. More importantly for the larger mission, the delay allowed reinforcements to arrive. The sacrifice of D Company and Major Sharma's leadership helped save Srinagar for India.
The 4 Kumaon Battalion received the battle honor, Srinagar. Major Sharma had laid down his life for the nation at the age of 24. For his conspicuous bravery, he was awarded the Paramveer Chakra, India's highest military award, posthumously. Posthumously means after death. So this point must not be missed in an answer.
Let us take a mini recap before moving to his early life. So far, we have traced the threat to the Kashmir Valley, the importance of Budgam and Srinagar Airport, the arrival of D Company, the attack by a much larger force, the request for airstrikes, and the resistance that bought time for reinforcements.
If one detail is still confusing, you can use Edzy as a personal AI tutor for that exact doubt. Ask it to explain the sequence step by step, or ask it questions until you can explain the connection between Badgam, the airfield, and Srinagar. The aim is active recall and understanding, not copying a ready made paragraph without thinking.
The chapter then asks us to learn more about the person behind the battle. Major Somnath Sharma was born on 31st January 1923 in Dad, in Kangra, Himachal Pradesh. He belonged to a family with a rich military legacy. His father, Major General Amarnath Sharma, had served the nation with distinction.
The phrase serve the nation with distinction means that his father performed his duties with exceptional dedication, honor, and excellence. Major Somnath was also inspired by the valorous tales of the Mahabharata shared by his grandfather. The extract therefore shows two early influences, a family military tradition and stories that shaped his understanding of bravery.
His education began at Sherwood College in Nainital, followed by rigorous training at the Royal Military College, Sandhurst. The word rigorous means strict, demanding, and requiring sustained effort. His life is described as a testament to discipline and dedication, a testament to strong evidence or proof. So his life proved the value of those qualities.
In 1942, he was commissioned into the 8th Battalion of the 19th Hyderabad Regiment. He served with distinction during the Second World War in the Arakan campaign in Burma and earned mentions in dispatches for bravery. Dispatches are official reports about military affairs. These experiences formed part of the discipline and service that later shaped his leadership at Budgam.
The chapter makes an important distinction between background and achievement. His family, education, and earlier service influenced him, but the legacy was truly forged during the Battle of Budgam. Forged means shaped or strengthened, often through hardship. His character became most visible when he had to make decisions under extreme pressure.
Here is an inference question. What can we infer about his early influences? The best answer is that his family and heritage inspired his bravery and sense of duty. It would be incorrect to say that only his father or only the Mahabharat stories influenced him. The extract deliberately gives us more than one source of inspiration.
Another question asks whether Somnath Sharma belonged to a wealthy family. The extract does not say that. It says he belonged to a family with a rich military legacy. Rich here refers to the depth of military tradition, not wealth. This is a classic reading mistake. Students add an inference that the text has not stated.
Now let us revise expressions from the chapter. To fight to the last man means to continue fighting until the very end rather than surrender. To foil a plan means to prevent it from succeeding. To deliver a blow means to cause serious damage to an opponent's efforts. To hold one's ground means to remain in a position despite pressure or danger.
Let us apply them carefully. A detective finding hidden evidence before a culprit can remove it manages to foil the plan. An advertising campaign intended to harm competitors' sales may deliver a blow. Hikers who refuse to turn back in heavy rain hold their ground. Soldiers defending their homeland until the end fight to the last man.
A quick recall check. If a team scores a goal at the last moment and changes the result, which expression fits best? It delivers a blow to the opponent's confidence. If a spy disrupts an invasion plan by intercepting communication, the spy foils the plan. Try to remember the meaning first, then the expression. That is more reliable than learning the four pairs mechanically.
The chapter also introduces collective nouns used in the context of armed forces. A regiment is a permanent army unit usually commanded by a lieutenant colonel or colonel and divided into companies. A battalion is a large body of troops ready for battle, especially an infantry unit. Read the definitions carefully because regiment and battalion are easy to interchange.
Squadron is a small unit, usually comprising 12 to 24 aircraft and their crews, used in aviation services. A fleet is a group of ships sailing together or working under the same ownership. So we speak of a battalion or regiment of soldiers, a squadron of aircraft, and a fleet of ships.
The words beginning with over are another useful set. Overthrow means to take and seize control, as of a government. Overrun means to invade or occupy an area in large numbers. Overwhelm means to flood or overpower someone or something, including emotionally. The meaning must come from the sentence, not only from the prefix.
Now consider advise and advice. Advice is a noun, as in the teacher's advice. Advise is a verb, as in the teacher continues to advise students. Practice is a noun for regular activity, while practice is the verb in the preferred British spelling. Devise is a noun and devise is a verb. Council is a group, while counsel means to advise.
One spelling point from the chapter is defense and defense. There is no difference in meaning. Defense with the letter C is the preferred British English spelling, while defense with the letter S is the American spelling. Since this is an English lesson in the Indian school context, remember the preferred spelling used in the chapter.
Let us move to subject verb agreement. The verb must agree with the subject in number. A bouquet of flowers is beautiful because bouquet is singular, even though flowers is plural. Each participant has submitted a project because each is singular. A pair of shoes is missing because pair is the subject. These nearby plural nouns often create confusion.
With neither nor and either or, look at the subject nearer to the verb in the examples. Neither teacher nor the students were aware because students is nearer and plural. Either the children or the guardian has to attend because guardian is nearer and singular. Neither of the statements is true. These patterns are worth practicing out.
Here is a quick grammar challenge. Choose the correct forms. The members of the jury have delivered their verdict. Mathematics is an interesting subject. One of the players was injured, and a battalion of soldiers stands at attention. The key is to identify the true subject before choosing the verb. Do not allow a nearby plural word to distract you.
We are entering the exam focus section now. The chapter asks you to arrange events chronologically. A reliable method is to create a simple chain. Birth in 1923, training at Sandhurst, commission into the 19th Hyderabad Regiment in 1942, arrival of D Company in Srinagar, air strikes at Badgam, Major Sharma's death, continued resistance by the soldiers, and the Paramveer Chakra.
Let us test that sequence. Which came first? The request for airstrikes or the flying of D Company into Srinagar? D Company was flown into Srinagar first on 31st October. The request for airstrikes happened during the Battle of Badgam on 3rd November. Which came last? The soldiers' continued resistance or the award of the Paramveer Chakra? The award came last in the sequence given.
For a question asking why Major Sharma's leadership was critical, build a three-part answer. First, he assessed the enemy's strategy and recognized the distraction. Second, he requested airstrikes and guided aircraft using ground channels. Third, he inspired his injured and outnumbered men to hold their position until reinforcements arrived. This structure gives evidence, not just praise.
For the question about his last words, include both the situation and the mean. The enemy was very close. D Company was heavily outnumbered, and the soldiers faced devastating fire. His refusal to withdraw even reflected unwavering duty, courage, and determination to defend the position. Do not write only the quotation without explaining what it reveals.
A higher order question may ask, what could have happened if Major Sharma and his company had not held their ground? Stay within the chapter. You can explain that the enemy might have advanced more quickly towards Srinagar, the airfield, and the wider valley, while reinforcements would have had less time to arrive. Use cautious words such as might have and could have.
The chapter also asks why this story continues to inspire soldiers and civilians. A complete answer can mention selflessness, courage, duty, sacrifice, and the protection of national integrity. It can also explain that his example remains alive through remembrance at the National War Memorial and through stories that guide future generations.
For the daily life values question, do not claim that students must copy the battlefield situation. Instead, connect the values responsibly. Courage can mean doing the right thing despite difficulty. Duty can mean completing responsibilities honestly. Self-sacrifice can mean giving time or comfort to help others. The chapter itself suggests that service to the nation can include responsible actions by citizens.
Let us collect the major themes. Courage appears in Major Sharma's refusal to withdraw and in the soldiers' continued resistance. Duty appears in his decision to join his company despite his injured hand. Leadership appears in his assessment, communication, direction of fire, and practical help. Sacrifice appears in the loss of his life and the company's stand for the safety of Srinagar.
The most important factual chain is this. Operation Gulmarg created the threat. The Srinagar airport was strategically important. D Company had 90 soldiers. About 500 invaders attacked. Major Sharma requested air support. The company held its ground for more than 6 hours after his death. Reinforcements arrived, and Major Sharma became the first posthumous recipient of the Param Veer Chakra.
Before you finish, take one concrete challenge. Without looking at your book, explain in 6 sentences why Badgam mattered, how Major Sharma led his men, what happened after his death, and why his legacy continues. Then write one paragraph using the keywords courage, duty, sacrifice, reinforcement, and Paramveer Chakra. Remember the common mistake. Do not confuse a rich military legacy with financial wealth. And do not list bravery without evidence from the chapter. If one doubt remains, use EDSI for step by step questioning or active recall. Thank you for revising with us. Keep your understanding clear, your answer precise, and your effort steady. We will meet again in the next study session.